Hey there, YouTube friends. Update 8 is out now for Planet Coaster 2 along with the Toybox DLC. Let's have a rundown of the best things in the free update and a quick look at what's in the new DLC along with some of my thoughts about it all. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm maskedbandit and I'm glad you're here. Let's jump right in. First off, I always want to say thank you to all the fine folk at Frontier for providing early access to the update and the DLC. I always appreciate it, and I was so glad I had the opportunity to put some stuff together to have ready for you here at the launch of the new updates. Today, we're going to be focusing on the scenery and the weather improvements that came with both the free update and the DLC. We'll leave the breakdown of individual rides, coasters, and flats to the people who take it way more seriously and know far more than I do about that kind of stuff. In general, though, I like them a lot for the most part. The parachute ride is a little chunky for me, but we'll talk about that. There is a video where I build with the new suspended thrill coaster, probably my favorite part of the DLC. And I also try to use at least one of the new flats, and that's out on the channel now. I do recommend you check it out. It's a pretty fun build, and I think it turned out pretty good. So that being said, let's take a look at what's free in this update. For me, this is the strongest part of the update. You see that we have the festive theme back. I've added some trees and some decorations here at Beginner Heights Amusement Park. I didn't add a whole ton, but just a little bit. All the bits are here. That's super awesome. The presents and the trees and the decor, awesome, great stuff. I'm so excited that this is back. It's all scalable. Don't sleep here on these string lights. If you're new to Planet Coaster, you didn't play much of Planet Coaster 1, these string lights are amazing. I know they're just alphas, but they are really important for popcorn lighting and things like that. I think that they're going to get a lot of use. This isn't just a holiday-only DLC. The icing for the gingerbread pack is awesome for extra details and filigree and things like that. I've used that in the past. That's all here as well. And we also have snow and thunderstorms, as you can see here from the snow. The snow looks great, and it does cling really well to the surfaces here as we look. However, you will notice that it does not collect on paths, which is super sad. Here what I've done is I've taken some of the snow pieces in the festive scenery set and kind of threw them around. And I also used some moss pieces colored white to look like snow collecting on the ground. I do hope that maybe they'll change this, because I know that in Zoo you could have snow collect on the path. I mean, it would make the new heaters far more impactful visually, but I think overall the snow looks really good. I love the way it falls, but yeah, it needs to collect on the paths to really, I think, really sell the vibe. There's going to be a lot of work to make it look like it's perfectly plowed, So, but let's get a quick look at the thunderstorms. This is done really well. I love the howling wind, and the rain is so dark, and the sky is super dark, and then you get these flashes of lightning and thunder. This is super cool. I can't wait to see how it interacts with rides, as far as what rides it strikes, if it goes for the highest and all that. But just the addition of weather and the fact that weather is now something you have to consider as part of the simulation, I think is fantastic. Speaking of the simulation, while I can't speak on the new guest behaviors or management, I'm always happy for more robust peep behavior. For me, it's the peeps. They really bring the game to life. And some of the new animations that I've seen and some of the B-roll footage and things like that, they look really great. Love these puddles, by the way. Just really well done. I think this is really good. So this is all part of the free update, the new scene, the old scenery set, and the weather. Some guest behaviors are different, the way they interact is different, and that'll be great to see. Let's take a deep dive into the scenery of the new Toybox DLC. Overall, this DLC is not immediately my bag as far as the theme goes, but I'm sure there's bound to be valuable pieces that can go beyond the kind of niche theme of this kind of toy box thing. So for me, I'm always looking for pieces that we can use in other unique ways. That being said, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Everything is really well made and really well textured, and it does add lots of life and charm to the game, just not the style that gets me excited. First up, we have the cardboard wall set. By this point, you should probably be aware of what is in these wall sets. Standard stuff, a variety of wall pieces, gridded and non-gridded. All the ones in the back here are non-gridded pieces. They are very large, the non-gridded. We do have some clouds and some other little shapes that are smaller and more versatile. But the cool thing is everything here is recolorable and recolors very well, very pure. In fact, that's a trend with all the items in this DLC that are recolorable. They all recolor very, very well. So there's a look at all of your standard wall set. This cardboard, they are corrugated. Let's get a zoomed in look at that. Here is a better look at the texture on the cardboard. I think it's a really well done cardboard. Kind of the corrugation is nice. And perhaps a different use, but for me, initially, it's pretty much cardboard. Recolored, maybe it could be something else. The next big chunk that I want to show off are what I'm kind of calling the toys and the construction pieces here. These toys and construction pieces, there's lots of small bits that could very easily be repurposed. Unfortunately, you'll see there are some animatronics, and they are kind of what they are. They're pretty niche, so I think it's going to be kind of hard to repurpose a lot of these, which is fine, but again, it's kind of limiting what you can do with them. The fun Lego-ish pieces and old wooden train set pieces kind of just bring me back to childhood here, which is always cute. I do enjoy them as pieces. Let's see, what else? The foam mat there, the blue foam mat, I think that is absolutely a sleeper, especially because it's scalable. Can make like foam pads for splash pads and things like that. Everything in this part of the set looks kind of shiny and plasticky. The pieces here scale. Some scale down to 30, others to 20, yet some of the pieces only scale to 50%. And I know that in the more realistic Planet Coaster players, the smaller you can scale things without mods, the better it is. So yeah, just know that the smallest things are about 20. But overall, I think these are some fun pieces, and I do think that there are opportunities to use pieces in unique and interesting ways. Up next, here's a look at the clay pieces that come in the pack. Again, for me, they're pretty niche as far as their blobbiness and what they look like. I'm sure more creative people will be able to do things with them more than I can think. They just kind of look like clay or sticky tack to me. Every one of these pieces can scale down to 30%. They are pretty large though, so maybe not as versatile because they're going to be a little bit larger. Again, beautiful texturing. They look exactly like clay, but the problem is they kind of only look like clay. But still, pretty neat. Up next, we have what I'm calling the art supplies part of the DLC. You'll see pencils, erasers, scissors, paints, palettes, markers, crayons. For me, this I think is maybe the least flexible pieces in the set as far as trying to use them in other themes. The marble, the glass jars, and maybe the paint palettes have some use outside of this theme to me. But it is super well designed if you're wanting to go this kind of generic toy route, but if you're not doing that, I think you might struggle finding good uses for some of these pieces. And most pieces in this part of the DLC only scale to about 50%, which is, again, just kind of decreases their viability outside of this theme. Popsicle stick is pretty cool too. Craft stick, whatever you want to call it. I know that in my community on Bro Nation, a lot of people were really excited by these blocks. They are kind of like textured art shapes. If that is kind of what you were hoping they would be, that is kind of indeed what they are like. They scale to 20%, so not as small as the art shapes do, so maybe not as versatile. They do recolor very, very well though, which is always exciting. Probably lots of use for details in buildings and things like trim. Maybe based on scaling can be used as animatronics, but you get a variety of pieces here, and like I said, they recolor. You get some trees, you get the little woodland critters, you get the cars, and these kind of look like the old trains. So I think that this is a pretty successful part of the DLC. I think this is pretty useful outside of the theme. But yeah, these are what the blocks look like, and they scale to 20%, so pretty small. And here we have the stickers, and my gosh, are there so many of these. These might be my favorite part of the DLC. I do think that basically you get kind of a new font with these alpha block letters, although you do kind of have to be careful of bleed when you get too close, kind of like the alpha signs already in the game. The doors and windows as stickers is super neat, super versatile. I do love the aesthetic of all those like hand-drawn things up on the top there, even if I might not have a lot of use for them. The paint splats in the top left corner here can, I think, easily be used for things like blood, for spookiness, if you want to do something a little spookier. But for me, the killers in this are the chevron and all the things down here at the bottom. These simple shapes, the chevron, the crosswalk, what looks like road markings, the hazard strips, all of that. The ladder, the little ladder stickers, a stop sign. I think these are going to be super useful, and I expect to see lots of people put these in their favorited piece set. So yeah, tons of stickers. Really like them. The alien there near the top kind of reminds me of the Mo Willems pigeon book. I don't know why, but it's kind of what it looks like to me. Maybe a smaller collection of items, but arguably the most useful for me at least are the doors and windows that come with this set. Generic enough to fit multiple themes, and unlike the Sorcery DLC, these are scaled appropriately to the peeps, which is very exciting. And I think that they are an absolute great addition that will be used constantly in a variety of projects. So here's a look at all the doors and windows you get. They are all recolorable and scalable. Good stuff. Here we have all of the signs and lights and the stuff that kind of goes on the path, the benches and the garbage cans. And the signs, I think, are a little over-themed for most settings, but the addition of the street light there and the little floodlights, I think, are going to be super useful. The fences are also hyper-themed, as they tend to be, as are the benches, bins, and table. Here, if we just look over here, the table is pretty highly themed with the block texture and a button. It looks great, but again, very highly themed. And the bin here is a pencil sharpener, and the bench is an eraser with some blocks underneath it. So, but the signs are pretty good. I think the post-it note sign would have been a lot better if it was scaled smaller. These can't scale super small. They're fun, but a lot of this stuff isn't super versatile. This is Max Stormcloud, and while he's pretty good, designed well, as he walks right through us, as he's designed well, he is not my favorite. I don't know. He's just the plastic face. I get it. He's an action figure. Kind of creeps me out. I think the little computer screen here in the center is supposed to be the actual like personality. So, but it's good. I mean, look at how good he looks, but just not my favorite. I mean, I think he'll go well in sci-fi settings, so that's good. We've got a little bit of some maneuverability as far as his use goes. Also in this set, we got a collection of particle effects. This cartoon fire and the cartoon smoke are awesome. I think they're so fun. I can absolutely see them being used for things like cartoon-themed dark rides and things like that. And we've got paint drips and paint splashes. I like the confetti a whole lot, the multicolor and the glitter confetti. The rainbow is cute, and there's like a laser beam kind of thing. Always love to have more particle effects. I mean, again, there are so many creative people out there who will probably find amazing things to do with these. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. So here are the particle effects that come in the set. And then last but not least, I wanted to show you what some of the Frontier blueprints from this pack look like. They've done a great job of putting things together. So everything you're seeing here can be made with the DLC. I especially like the tall Jenga pieces. That's super cool. I think this is a great way. If you're kind of stuck like I was, I plopped some of these down, and that got me kind of thinking about how I could utilize them myself and kind of get the ball rolling. Here are what some of the facility shells look like. The shop shells, that's hard to say. Shop shells. And we've got some staff and other things like that. So I think they're really good, and they're always a welcomed addition for the people who want to use blueprints. So with that being said, that's just a really quick rundown of most of the pieces of the DLC. It might not be all of them, there might be a few missing, but overall this is the vibes. If you vibe with this, then I highly recommend it. If you're excited for the rides, I highly recommend you get the DLC. I think the update's the strongest part of this. The free update's the strongest part. I think it's stronger as far as what it brings to the game than the DLC. That being said, the rides are great. And the theme, while for me it's a mess, it's done very, very well. So if this excites you, I think you should grab it. If you're like kind of meh, maybe wait. But if you're really into the coasters or the rides, then you should absolutely consider getting it as well. And with all that being said, that's about all I have to say today. I'm going to leave it there. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I'll see all of you for some Planet Coaster 2 content in the future. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.